everyone, I'm Regina. I'm the Genealogy Librarian at the State Library, and I'm thrilled to be virtually celebrating Maker's Day with all of you. So, I'm going to be showing you how to make some super easy, healthy, and delicious cookies. And yes, that sounds like an oxymoron, but it's really not. If you're a health conscious person like me, you keep in mind ingredients, you keep in mind calories, and you probably know from reading nutrition labels that many cookies are over 100 calories per cookie. I have good news for you. Depending on the size of the bananas you use and the optional ingredient add-ins you put in, these cookies are going to be under 100 calories a piece. And even better, they're super easy to put together, and there are only 3 main ingredients with a couple of options. So the main ingredients are 3 medium-sized ripe bananas, like you see here, half a cup of peanut butter, and I use creamy, all-natural with no added sugar or salt, and half a cup of cocoa powder. Now I'm using Dutch processed black cocoa powder. You can use whatever it is you have on hand. For those of you who are calorie conscious or like to weigh out your ingredients by volume rather than by measuring cup, you may want to use your food scale to get an accurate calorie count. Those are the 3 main ingredients. They're vegan, gluten-free, good stuff. Some people with just the cocoa powder and the sweetness of the banana might not be quite enough. So you may want to add your sweetener of choice. I'm going to be using, if I need it, about a tablespoon of monk fruit sugar, which has no calories and has 4 grams of carbs per teaspoon. So if I use a tablespoon, I'll be getting about 12 grams of carbs. And a little sprinkling of sea salt is really good on each cookie. So you'll see, it probably took me longer to film this introduction than it will to put the ingredients together. So you'll see in a minute what exactly we are going to do. All right, so we've weighed and measured our ingredients, and now we're going to start making the cookies. So we're going to start by breaking up our bananas, putting them in the bowl. I like to, rather than breaking the bananas into big chunks, I kind of like to break them down a little bit further because I think it's a little bit easier than to mash them with a fork. Again, it kind of depends on the texture you're going for. If you don't like chunky cookies like I do, if you have an immersion blender, you may want to use that to ensure that it's super smooth, or a hand mixer or something like that. But I like having the little chunks of bananas in my cookie, so I'm not being too careful. And again, once we're done breaking up all the pieces, we are going to mash all this with a fork. For the record, I weighed the bananas on my food scale. They were 11.78 ounces and for a total of 297 calories for all three. And we will do some math at the end, and I will tell you how many calories are in per batch. Right now I'm not counting my macros, aka carbs, sugar, and fat. So I did not look at carbs. Bananas do tend to be a higher carb fruit, so just something to be aware of if you are making these for somebody who's diabetic or has PCOS or somebody else who may need to watch their carbs a little bit more than the average individual. You may want to kind of count the carbs if you have your handy dandy food scale like I happen to. Otherwise, if you have no health conditions, you may as well just enjoy, right? And I'm sorry about the shaking. I have my phone stand attached to my little kitchen island, so I'm mashing rather aggressively. So there we go. There's our mashed banana. That's kind of the consistency that I like it. So, whatever consistency works for you. Like I said, you could break this down even further with an immersion blender or a hand mixer or something like that. I'm just getting rid of the fork and rinsing off my hands so that I can get peanut butter and cocoa powder all over them. So we are going to add in our half a cup of peanut butter. According to my nutrition label, this particular brand of peanut butter is 190 calories for 2 tablespoons. There are 4 tablespoons in a quarter cup, so that's 380. 380 plus 380, because this is half a cup, is 760. So 297 plus 760. And you'll want to use the full half a cup of peanut butter because that's where most of the flavor and texture for these cookies come from. I love this little spatula. So useful, and it gets in every single crevice. Yeah, let's see if I can get as much of the peanut butter as possible into the bowl and not into my mouth. Not because I don't love peanut butter, because I'm definitely going to pound a couple of these cookies down after they're done baking, but I don't think it's particularly appropriate for purposes of our demonstration to have you guys watching me like licking my fingers and moaning ecstatically because I love this peanut butter. It's really good. And then our final ingredient is going to be the cocoa powder. This is a quarter cup. Remember, this is the black cocoa powder. So it's slightly different than traditional cocoa powder. And what I like is it's not as bitter. So then you have to add less sugar, which is my main motivation for using it. Also, because then it makes the cookies black, and if you're making these around Halloween or something like that, or if you just like black, it's something perfect. What I am actually going to do is I'm going to add about a quarter cup of this, so about half of what's in here, and then I'm going to mix it and see kind of how that looks. And then if I need more, I'm going to add a little more. So I might use the full half a cup I might not. It depends on how the batter looks to me. And if I find it's kind of dry, or like it's not cookie batter consistency any longer, it's too dry and crumbly, you know, I want to avoid that. So I'm going to add, like I said, gradually, rather than trying to dump it all in at once. And so we're going to mix this in, and we're going to see kind of the consistency of the batter we get. And I used the bottom of a peanut butter container for mine, so my peanut butter is a little less liquidy, so I may just need a little bit less in general. If I find my batter gets too crumbly and is not liquid enough, what I can also do is I can just add like a tablespoon of water in to help get that nice liquid consistency. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I don't think that I need to add any additional batter, although I am going to try to scrape off as much from the spatula as I can, and then, you know, lick the spatula, because why not? Also, for the record, it's delicious. So I'm just going to mix a little bit more to make sure that the peanut butter and the cocoa powder is well incorporated, and I'm not, I don't have any like massive chunks of peanut butter or massive chunks of banana anywhere, but you can see, you know, how beautiful and shiny and dark this batter is, and this is exactly what we want for these cookies. And then what I'm going to do, now that the batter's all nice and mixed, is I am going to put these on the cookie sheet now. All right, so we are back. I have finished mixing our beautiful batter. For the record, I used about a 1/4 cup plus maybe about 2 tablespoons of the beautiful batter, or of the beautiful cocoa powder. 1 ounce, which is about a 1/4 cup, is 62 calories. Half of 62 is 31, so that adds about 94 calories. I tasted the batter, and I did think it was just a tiny bit bitter, so I did add that tablespoon of the monk fruit sweetener, and I've tasted. I'm very happy with the flavor. So right now we are going to start putting the batter onto this greased cookie sheet, and we are going to, once we have our little cookies all laid out, we're going to put them in the oven at 350, and we're going to bake them until the batter, you can see how beautiful and glossy and shiny it is now, until the bottoms of the cookies are solid and the batter has lost some of its shine. To evenly portion out my batter, I have a cookie scoop. This is a small kind, not one of the large kinds. You can also use a tablespoon, a regular kitchen spoon, whatever you have, but for equal portioning and especially for calorie counting, I really like having one of these. I think this is a really useful tool. And it also makes the cookies a beautiful shape. So I'm going to scoop some batter here, and I'm just gonna brush some of it off the edges so we get a nice even scoop in there, and then I just squeeze and bam. And I'm just gonna keep doing that until all of the cookies are on, and we'll see how many total cookies we get from this batch. And then once we have that number, then we are in a really good shape to know the total number of calories per cookie for this particular batch. And just remember, that's going to vary slightly from batch to batch because you're always using different bananas. And depending on what ingredients you have, what kind of sweeteners you have, your calories may slightly differ from mine, just depending on the ingredients that you have. So I'm going to go ahead, finish dishing these out. We'll get these babies in the oven, and then we can reveal the calorie grand total, which will be lots of fun. And we'll also discuss how to best store these and other fun stuff. All right, so you can see I had to pull out another cookie sheet, and there was only enough to make about one cookie. I thought I was going to get 2 in there, but it's just 1. But I wanted to show you just how to add the sea salt. I added all of the other ingredients directly into the batter, but for the sea salt, you just kind of sprinkle it on your cookie if you'd like to add it. And we'll get this bad boy in the oven in a little bit, but I wanted to show you what the cookies look like when they're just about done. You can see how the gloss has disappeared and they've solidified. They have about another 30 seconds in the oven. So what I am going to do is I'm going to pull them out in about 30 seconds. I'm going to let them cool. Oh, and actually it's sooner than that. And there's the mess. All the things that you didn't see. But I'm going to pull them out of the oven now, put their sad, lone little brother in to bake for about 10 minutes. And yeah, and then I'm going to let them cool. I'm going to eat 1 or 2, and then I'm going to put the rest in the freezer. I highly recommend storing these guys in the freezer and eating them straight from the freezer. They are delicious that way. It's kind of like getting a cookie chunk in the middle of your ice cream. Oh, they're so good. So at any rate, for those of you who are curious, I totaled our calories, and my batch, like I said, made 16 cookies, and with the ingredients that I used, the total calories was 1151, and that divided by 16 is 71.9. I'm calling it 72 calories per cookie. So if you are like me, and to you a snack is 2 cookies, not just 1, that's about 140 calories, which is a very reasonable size snack. So this is what they look like when they come out fresh from the oven. Like I said, I'm going to let these babies cool a little bit. I'll probably put them on a cooling rack to let them cool completely, but I will eat my one or two, you know, hot, as it were, and then I'll put the rest in the freezer to enjoy in partials. And I'm just going to take our one lone little baby here and pop him in the oven. So I hope that you have a chance to try these guys. I think they're delicious. This is my third batch that I've made, and please enjoy, and the recipe will be posted down in the information below. Happy Maker's Day, everyone, and please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about this recipe. All right,